Hey everyone and welcome to the channel. I've been putting off installing a DRO on my lathe for a little while, but I recently saw a new technique to me and I thought it might be time to get this job done. But this one isn't just another DRO install video. We will tackle that job and use the slope function on the DRO to make a Morse taper and turn it into a little slitting saw. If that sounds like something you're into, hang around to see how this one turns out. We have ourselves a Sino. Sino? Sino. Let's be honest, I'm no DRO expert, but I did scour the web a little on what I think I needed for this one, and the Sino stuff seems to get pretty good reviews for a more budget-friendly DRO setup. And I did manage to find a kit that should be a fair fit for my machine. My lathe has a cross slide of about 150mm and 600mm between centers. Something I don't have is much real estate on the cross slide, but I seem to have all the room in the world up the back. So the kit I found came with a 170mm KA500 slim scale for up top and an 800mm KA300 normal size slide for the bed. The bottom slide is heaps too big, and I'm prepared to cut this big boy down if I have to. But I think I might just have enough room to mount the whole scale, even if I don't need the full travel. But this is the guy we're here for today. I made sure the computer box has the slope function that I want to give a crack. But this thing isn't going to fit itself. So here goes. And that's probably not a great start. Now let's get going. As mentioned, I don't have a heap of room up here. The cross-slide power feed is up on top as well as the carriage lock, and I'd really like to still be able to use those. I know I'm going to cover the gib adjustments, and I'm not stoked about that, but I guess I'm just going to have to tear this all apart when they need to be adjusted. It does look like it should all fit quite neat and tidy, and something I do like about this scale is that it comes with a mounting bracket, which should save a bit of pain in making one for myself. We do need some holes for the mounting screws though, so I'll tear this one apart and get the cross-slide over to the mill. So I'll just get them drilled and tapped for some mounting screws. I don't think I've ever tapped cast iron before, but that's pretty satisfying. It cuts pretty nice. Then it can all go back together and get these gibs adjusted before I inevitably forget. Now for the hard mount on the reader. I've got a little bit of space back there, but I should be able to just squeeze the calipers in there to have some idea of what size spacer I need. And that looks like it should be close enough to work. So I'll screw that together, dial it in, and call the cross slide done. Now the big slide is a lot more straightforward than the top, so I didn't really bother filming it too much. And let's be honest, it's pretty snug back here. I don't think I'm ready to get that up close and personal with you just yet. Let's just take it slow, subscribe to each other, and see where this goes. The only interesting thing back here is making that hole. Rather than cut everything down, I use this right angled doohickey with an impact drill bit. They've got a little height reduction surgery, and an exceptionally ghetto grind to make it work. To tap the hole, I took an angle grinder to the handles on my cheapest tap wrench, but it works for this job, and nobody died. My cable management needs some work, but those brackets that come in the kits make mounting this one pretty easy, and we like easy. But the main thing is that it works, so... And it's even telling me that it's time for a beer. So yes, DRO, let's go do that, and I'll get to figuring out how to use you tomorrow. It's the next day, and nursing a little headache from too much partying with my new best friend. Let's see if I can get this slope function to work. I'll start with a major diameter from something else more tapery, and get some 4140 chucked up. So I'll face this one off, zero my X, and yeah, I know these are the wrong way round, but having my X move left to right just seems to make more sense to me. Then skim a little off the diameter, punch those numbers into the brain box, and go to town until it reads the same number that we measured off the Morse taper earlier. And this doesn't happen to me very often, but that actually worked the way it was supposed to. And now for this taper. I'll rough in the angle by eye, which should be about 2.874-ish degrees, but we're only cutting one side, so I need to split that number in half. Then with an indicator on the bed, I'll zero out on one side of the cross slide, then zero the DRO. Then slope function, direction, X and Y, enter. And just for all those people out there that like this sound. The angle, 1.437. Then this one I figure just needs to be the length for plotting out the distance of the cut. But for my little indicator stand, I can only measure about 80mm along the slide, so that'll have to do. Enter, and that should be our start point. Then down, and this will take me to the other end of the taper. So I'll move the cross slide along until X is 0, and then move the cross slide in until the indicator reads 0. I'm 0.2mm off, so I'll just keep tapping and going through all of those steps until I get zeros on the indicator and on the DRO. And this took a little longer than I thought it would, but we got there. Let's see if this works. I'll just keep taking passes until the minor diameter matches the taper I measured earlier. Why did I back up on that final pass? I actually had a pretty good finish happening there. Maybe the rough surface will make everything more grippy? Yeah, that sounds like a thing. And for the moment of truth... And yeah, that manly grunt was the sound of me regretting not moving the insert away from where I was working, and it caught my thumb. Silly mistakes aside, I can now get a little clearance nub turned down on the end, clean up this little raised area on the top, and knock off all the sharp corners, because well, I don't really want to be rocking two gloves. Then I can drill and tap for the same M12 drawbar that's on the mill, and we have ourselves a Morse taper. Now I can flip it in the spindle of the lathe with a reducing sleeve and get to reducing the shank of the saw arbor. I'm only planning to use little saw blades on this one. I have a stack of 63mm blades with a 16mm mounting hole, so I'm thinking about 20mm should hopefully give me a good balance of reach with the blade and still have some kind of rigidity. Maybe. I am slowly getting there with some kind of acceptable surface finish. This 4140 is no joke on breaking a chip. This finishing insert though, it seems to have some kind of miracle chip breaker. It only likes shallow passes, but the chips are easy game. It does not like my tomfoolery though. The tiniest of mistakes and the edges blow straight off it, like I've managed to do right here. But that's the shank done. So now I'll drill a deeper section for the M8 bolt that's going to hold this all together, then a shallower section at the end to house the clamping nut. Ream to size, and tap the base of the hole. Then it can hop on over to the mill for some flats on the collar for holding with a shifter or in the vise. Then the other side to match, and this part is done. And we're on the home stretch. With a 3-jaw back on the lathe, I'll whittle down a little more chromoly to the same diameter as the shaft. Then I'll turn down another little section to the hole size on the saw. I made a bad design choice here. I'm leaving the little step that's thinner than the thinnest saw blade that I have in this size, but I probably should have made this feature on the main shank. Because you're most likely to install the blade upside down, it's a bit annoying to locate the blade on the nut and try and hold it all together. You'll see what I mean very shortly, but I guess you live, you laugh, you learn. Is that the saying? Then I can take the end down to size to match the reamed hole in the shank from earlier, and I didn't nail that cut, and there isn't much to go. So a little love from the file, and that fits pretty snug. Then I can drill a clearance hole for the bolt to peek through and get this little guy parted off. For the last operation, I'll bump in a little chamfer and then cut a counterbore with a close-ish size end mill. A quick deburr, and that's our little nut. So let's see how this all goes together. With a random pocket bolt and a saw blade from the old top pocket, it screws together pretty well. You can see that design flaw here, but such is life. It looks like it should do the trick. I'm pretty annoyed at myself for that slip up on the finish of the taper, and I probably should sand it. Maybe one day I will. But I'm out of time for this video. This whole thing took a little longer than I thought it would, but that's a few more jobs off the list. I'd like to thank Enots Engineering for the video I stumbled across on the taper cutting method, and I'll pop a link to his video down below. I will say, for me, this doesn't really replace the more common methods I've tried for making Morse tapers, but something it does give you is the ability to dial in a taper with your parts still mounted in the lathe. If you had a project that had multiple tapers in one setup, I'm sure this would be really helpful. And thanks to my great planning, I don't have anything on hand that I need to cut with this saw right at the moment, but it will be making an appearance in an upcoming project, so hit that subscribe button to see if it actually works. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. If you liked the video, please consider giving the video a like and subscribing to the channel. See you on the next one!